Hey guys, welcome to Digital by AttentionMedia, the podcast brought to you by us, AttentionMedia. Today we're talking all things how to maximize your social media in the lead up to the festive season, right? So very busy time, lots of shopping, lots of e-commerce, lots of business being done. But what does that mean for you and your social media marketing? So today we touch on a few different topics. We talk about what types of content are working the best right now. We talk about how you can go about creating that content, what type of gear you need, all that sort of stuff. And then we also talk about some different types of software and apps and programs to help you make it as easy as possible to get that content created so that you can take advantage of the festive season. It's a fantastic episode. We've got our creative team in to talk with us today, so let's jump straight on in. All right, guys, welcome back to the podcast, episode 5, and we've got our creative team in with us today. We have Abram, our creative director, and we have Ludi, who is our creative producer, and also first time on the podcast, mate.
Yes, thank you.
Well, beautiful, exciting times.
Good to be a part of the podcast.
That's it, mate. Looking forward to you being able to share some nuggets of wisdom over the next few minutes. So, guys, on this episode, we're going to be talking about how you can maximize your social media leading up to and including the festive season. So, Christmas is not too far around the corner. And it's a crazy time of year for business. It's a crazy time for people in general, I think. And 2020 has certainly thrown a few curveballs at us. So we're definitely sort of approaching Christmas this year with a lot of focus on digital platforms and e-commerce for business, and how even though things are starting to open up, thankfully, there's still going to be some restrictions, and I'm sure there's going to be plenty of people who will be taking a different approach to shopping for this upcoming festive season. But good to have you on the show, boys.
No worries.
So I think what we decided on doing was breaking down this episode into kind of 3 different sections. So the first section, we're going to touch on the types of content that's working at the moment. Okay, what we're sort of seeing behind the scenes in the agency with our clients, with our own content, and then also talk about how we can go about creating more of the content that works, and how listeners and brands and businesses can go about creating more of that content that works, and then finally touch on some software and some apps and all that sort of thing to make the whole process a little bit easier, because we all know how precious time is, and it can get a little bit overwhelming, because we're going to sit here and talk about leveling up your social media over the next few weeks as we head towards Christmas, and to try and reduce some of that overwhelm, we want to try and provide you with some helpful tips, tricks, information and platforms to get the job done nice and easy. But let's dive into the first section, guys. So the types of content that's working really well at the moment.
Sort of your generic platform apps like your Instagram, specifically Reels, TikTok.
Yep.
I'm sure Snapchat will join the bandwagon soon as well. So
definitely. So the main kind of theme with those placements really on the platforms is video. Yeah. And we're finding that across the board. Hey, video is performing, generally outranks other types of content.
Yep, generally for our socials and our clients, that's generally the way it works. The video
short,
content performs the best.
Short and sharp. Yep. And I think it's also, it's kind of no surprise that video kind of outperforms everything, because that's the way that we're heading. That's the way that the algorithms are geared towards, promoting video, preferring video, etc. and so forth. So
yeah, I mean, I suppose what they're geared towards is just whatever keeps people on their platform the longest, because they're a business themselves. They want to keep people on the platform. Yeah. They want people to see, their ads and everything. So it's just whatever is going to keep people engaged and staying on their platform. So video generally will do that, because you'll look at that a bit longer than imagery or audio.
Yeah, it takes you a second to scroll right past an image, and but even not even just scrolling past an image, in the blink of an eye you can capture what that image contains. Whereas with video, it's kind of a continuously evolving piece of content, so it hooks you to watch it for longer. So
especially video without captions, just people just don't even worry they just scroll straight past on Facebook.
That's another point. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Making sure that you're optimizing your content.
Yep.
What types of video? So I think we've touched on the fact that video is working the best at the moment. What types of video can people be creating in a fairly efficient way?
Yeah, so there's two sort of sides to that question. It's the technical aspect of what is performing well, and that's video over photography and that sort of thing.
Mm-hmm.
And then the more general sort of question is like what kind of content is working. So what sort of in the video, what are you talking about? What is working in that sense?
It all depends on what your target audience is as well. It's not just what you're you might produce behind the sings, but is that what your your audience,
very true.
Like all your followers actually want to see? Do they want to see you do like something like skits or like what are they actually?
Yeah, it's brand specific, isn't it?
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah, that's why you just have to sort of play around, do like a bunch of different things, see what's going to work for you,
test and
your
measure
business and your particular audience. But we talked about it yesterday a bit in terms of sort of selling, on social media and that kind of thing.
Yep.
Leading up to Christmas, that's not a bad idea to be sort of promoting your products and sort of selling to people because people are in that buying sort of mindset.
Yep.
But then after that, people have sort of burnt out from sort of all their Christmas shopping and all that sort of stuff. So they don't really want to be, they don't really want to be, buying anything at that point. So more educational content, more valuable content, more entertaining content, that kind of stuff. That's sort of
I think that's that's kind of a good distinction to make. Is that what we were saying is that in that kind of down period, once the Boxing Day sales have cleared, all that sort of stuff, right? We've got that period between the old year and the new year, and people are going on holidays. They're spending some downtime. They're relaxing. They're going to be spending time on their phones still, but I think it's a really good period of time where you can build that brand awareness, not so much pushing the sales, but really helping educate people, entertain people, keep your brand top of mind, because people are relaxing, they're on their phones,
they're on holiday,
and they're open to it. So again, it just comes back to like the psychology, like meeting people where they're at. So I think really good distinction in the lead up, the mayhem and the craziness, making sure that you do have a sales message, you do have products and purchases. It's as frictionless as possible for people to purchase products. But then post all of that, then switching into more brand awareness, educating, entertaining, rather than pushing those sales messages. So
you also have to realize that the lead up to Christmas, like everyone's sort of doing that as well. So
exactly,
you're going to have more competition, I suppose, to work with. So you have to keep that in mind as well.
Really good point. Both from an organic perspective and also from a paid perspective, there's just more competition, lots more competition. So making sure that you've got a bit of a plan in place there on how you're going to increase your social media, whether it's increasing the frequency or trying new things, but really making sure that you're prepared ahead of time.
Yeah, exactly. And we'll get to sort of some of the software and that, but like using scheduling programs and stuff to schedule you. Just not just like for that reason as well, but like, go on holidays over Christmas. So making sure there's still stuff happening over that period.
Exactly. You need to have your downtime as well. Awesome. So, video is generally where it is at. And there's multiple different, types of video that we can create. So let's sort of transition into that next section about creating that content. Let's talk about the gear, and also
I think just quickly one other thing that we mentioned we were talking about the other day was content that people want to save and share.
Yes.
So carousel posts seem to be doing well, where there's sort of multiple images that people swipe through, that is valuable, gives people information that they want to save or share with other people. So again, just making sure you're creating content that people are wanting to engage with, and hit those buttons down the bottom.
Exactly. Like you don't have to. Every piece of content doesn't have to be a video, but if you can create content that again engages people and keeps them on your post, on your content for longer,
because video can be a bit of a harder sort of way to go about things, and sometimes it can be a bit of a barrier for people, but
not everybody's comfortable with it.
At the end of the day, just creating engaging content is what you're after.
Definitely jump in front of the camera is not everyone's cup of tea.
No, it's not, and that's okay. And there are ways to get around that. But let's talk gear, guys. Ludi, what sort of gear do we need to be creating some content for social media?
So it all depends. If you've got money to throw at it, you can go for the higher end products like Adobe, the Adobe suite. Your Avid, all those eyes. The free type mainstream would be something like DaVinci Resolve, iMovie, or the throwback Windows Movie Maker.
Yes, shout out to Windows Movie Maker.
Just a while ago.
So we've got our video content, and then obviously there's different ways that you can publish that video content. If it's pre-recorded video that you need to edit, then programs like Movie Maker, like what else do we have? What do we have on Mac? iMovie, exactly.
iMovie is a free one,
100%. So that's all really accessible programs to basically edit your video content, or you can be creating video content that you upload straight to stories, reels. You don't need to edit it, live streaming, all that TikTok, sort of stuff as well.
Kind of thing.
Yeah, awesome. How are we filming this kind of this video?
Yeah, so gear-wise, I think it's important. Like if you're on a budget, it's important to realize how good your phone can be.
Yeah.
Don't sort of underestimate. Yeah, don't underestimate how good that they are. Even if it's a couple of years old, they're still very capable little machines. So the only thing that I would sort of say, if you are on a budget and you are sort of using your phone, the only thing I would say is that a lot of the time when I'm looking at videos, where they get let down is the audio quality. Yeah. So
good point.
Making sure that there's some sort of audio solution that is going to work. So if you're standing a couple of meters away from your phone, and especially if you're outside and it's windy and that kind of thing, you're not going to be able to hear anything from the little microphone on the phone. And if you can hear anything, it's just going to be wind noise and a bunch of crap. So just finding some sort of audio solution that's going to work. So you can get lav mics that will connect to your phone. The Rode Go or Lav Go, I can't remember what it is, but
the Rode Lav mics.
The Rode Lav mics that can be connected to your phone.
And they don't cost the earth either.
No, they're sort of sub $100 or can be, depending on the brand you get and that kind of stuff, but definitely sort of sub 200. So, but then you can go up to sort of your DSLRs, your mirrorless cameras and that kind of thing. Excuse me. So that's the other option. But again, it's probably more the audio that would be the issue for if you're using those kind of things. The microphones will be a little bit better than a phone, but still they're not going to be great. So I think the most important thing is to just find an audio solution that's going to work for you.
Yeah, exactly. So there's nothing wrong with, and again, like it comes back to like not making excuses, right? You don't need a big expensive DSLR camera in order to create content for your business or your brand. You've got everything that you need in your smartphone. There's editing software in the smartphone as well. Yeah. Like you don't even need to do the editing on, a computer.
Yeah, if you're just doing simple cuts and that kind of thing.
Simple stuff. Yep. Yeah, exactly. 100%. Cool. So we've talked phone, we've talked audio, and we'll put all the links and everything into the...
and if you are wondering sort of, you've got a budget or whatever and you're wondering sort of what kind of, gear would be good in that sort of price bracket, hit us up and we can sort of give you some options and that kind of thing.
100%. What about some tips when we're actually filming the content? Now, we've spoken recently about like the rule of thirds, so tell us about that, Ludi.
So the rule of thirds is pretty much, if you see it visually, it is a 3x3 squared or rectangled space across like the screen. So it's pretty much like if you think about a game like noughts and crosses. So it's pretty much just noughts and crosses without obviously the X and the circles. So pretty much you use each sort of grid and you position your subject on either of the two outer thirds.
Yes.
And then when you're doing sort of like a piece piece to camera, you sort of want them to be on opposite thirds, so then it looks like they're talking to each other.
Yes.
So sort of
If you just sort of like head onto YouTube and search rule of thirds, and there'll be some sort of visual examples where you can see exactly what we're talking about. But it's very sort of simple, very sort of simple sort of rule that is, you know, been used in photography, painting, and like all sorts of different mediums for ages. So, yeah, exactly.
And I think you know, again, it comes back to how do you want your footage to look? Like, is it fast paced? Is it action? Is it moving around? Or are you trying to create something that is a little bit more professional, where, you know, you might be doing a bit of a talking head piece, and you can set it up and still film it on your phone. You can still film it vertically. Just use that rule of thirds. The person's kind of standing on their angle. You've got them in line with the, you know, the in the line with the thirds, and it can look really, really good. Like, it's as simple as that.
I think people can get hung up on sort of gear when we're talking about creating content and that kind of thing.
Yeah.
What about, but really, it's probably more learning sort of some of these basic principles and rules, like the rule of thirds, some basic color theory and that kind of stuff, some compositional elements and that sort of thing. Learning some basic principles, you know, that would help you no matter what kind of gear you're using.
Exactly.
It's gonna,
the principles are all the same. Doesn't matter if it's a smartphone.
Even aspect ratios can really sell your video.
Lighting? What about lighting?
Lighting is important. Definitely. Very important.
It's just as important as audio.
Yeah. Bad lighting is not very good, and it's something that is kind of subconscious as well to the viewer. Like that, a lot of people aren't going to know that the lighting is bad technically, but they're going to know that it looks weird in their mind, and it's distracting, and they'll sort of switch, like just scroll past.
Disengaging.
I've definitely seen a few videos where they put a fog light just face up on someone's face, and it's just like, it just kills the whole lighting.
Yeah. So in terms of lighting, generally, if like you don't actually have lighting, like lights and stuff, like, and you don't know how to use those, a window is a really good option. If you're outside, I would say look for some shade as well, especially if it's sort of the middle of the day. Because you want to make the light soft generally. Depends on the kind of video, the kind of photo, the kind of look you're going after, but most of the time you want to make the lighting look soft, and midday sun is not very soft light. There's hard shadows and that kind of thing, and it doesn't look great. So overcast days are great for filming in or taking photos in, and finding some shade on a sunny day as well.
Good tips. Get yourself set up near a window, some nice natural light. Implement the rule of thirds. Make sure you've got your little lav mic plugged in, and you're going to be able to create some good quality content. Love that. All right, do we have any tips to kind of wrap things up in terms of, again, just moving back to the software, the apps kind of stuff? If we are looking to create some content that we're not publishing straight to Reels or Stories or something like that, something that's pre-recorded, we want to do a little bit of editing, what are some tips around that?
Ludi sort of touched on it before, like on the software. Using some of those free or cheap programs like iMovie and that kind of thing. Again,
tutorials on YouTube if you're...
definitely. I think if you're going to create the whole video like during the summer period, I think you just need to stay consistent too. You can't be posting one video and then go 2 weeks without posting anything and then think that you're actually going to grow in that time. You need to definitely stay consistent.
And I think like it all comes back to, because I know, like, you know, we're always day in, day out working with business owners and brands, and, you know, creating content is not often seen as something that's simple. It can be pretty overwhelming, the volume of content that you need to be putting out. So I think if you try and...
Scheduling apps really help.
Yeah, exactly. Scheduling apps really help, but even just bringing it back to just keeping it basic, where if you are creating a video, don't try and create some 5 to 10 minute masterpiece that's going to take you a month to plan and edit necessarily. Create something that's short, simple. You can break it up into 30-second, 1 minute clips, and publish those over a period of time using a scheduling app.
I think the other thing that I would say is just batch creating content as well.
Yeah.
Like if you're gonna be creating content, just take an extra sort of half hour or something, create a bit more content. Like instead of making one video,
or block out an afternoon or a Saturday or something.
Like instead of making one video, make 4 posts, one each week.
Try to get yourself noticed in the algorithm. That's the best.
Yes.
Yeah. And like if you're taking photos, take a bunch of photos that'll last you the month or next month and that kind of stuff. That's how I sort of go about my content. I'll sort of create at the beginning or the end of the last month. I'll create a bunch of content for myself.
Sort of something that I've sort of been practicing myself over the last sort of month or so. I sort of trying to think of the Pat Kay. He's a Australian photographer. Shout out to him. I watched one of his YouTube videos and he said, photography wise, if you take 27 photos, just 27 a day, every day for 365 days, you'll learn so much photography wise that you didn't if you only took one photo.
Yeah, exactly.
So
it's like anything else. You got to practice.
It's practice, yeah.
Repetition, 100%. Exactly. And I think that's like, geez, we could go on for so long about this, but that's another thing that always comes up is that trying to create the perfect piece of content, like and trying to make something that's perfect. You're only creating something that's perfect based on your opinion, and at the end of the day, it's not really your opinion doesn't matter. It's the opinion of the market. It's the opinion of your customers.
And generally, you're your own worst critic.
Exactly, 100%. And trying to create something that's perfect comes at the detriment of progress, right? So if you're spending all this time trying to create a perfect piece of content where you could have already published 5 pieces, been gaining some traction, gaining some customers.
Yeah, I think in social media, like especially, it is a little bit quantity over quality, because there's just so much out there. You have to be creating enough to compete with everyone else.
Yeah, exactly.
If you're posting once a week, it's just not enough.
Yeah.
So, like your content needs to be quality enough. I suppose.
It's knowing your target audience.
Yeah.
And planning, which I suppose is the reason we jumped on and we wanted to talk about this, because leading up to Christmas, not only do things get busier as a business owner, but just life in general, gets busier. So it can be hard to plan and execute a really good digital strategy in the lead up that's going to help you with your business goals when there's so much other stuff going on. But
and I suppose just on that, talking about sort of the software. Facebook Creator Studio is an excellent option if you're sort of looking to find ways to schedule your content. There's lots of other paid programs and stuff out there, but Facebook Creator Studio is, from Facebook. It's free. You just type it into Google, Facebook Creator Studio, and it'll allow you to schedule content to both Instagram and Facebook. And that's the way I schedule my content is at the end of each month, I'll schedule the next month of content. Generally, I'll just schedule it for Instagram, tick the post to Facebook as well. And then, that'll allow me to schedule.
Takes the stress out.
Yeah, it just sort of allows you to get it over and done with in an afternoon instead of worrying about having to create content on a day-to-day basis.
Just becomes overwhelming. Yeah. Awesome, guys. That's a really good chat. I feel like, we've touched on the fact that video performs really well, but, you don't have to just rely on video. If you are creating like image-based content, etc., try and, create multiple slides that you might put into a carousel to hold people in your post for longer.
Just a quick touch on that.
Yeah.
Sort of that's come into the big market now is podcast if you go audio-wise.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, exactly.
They're very popular at the moment. They're also great. We talked about sort of creating batch content. We sort of use this podcast a little bit like that. We'll film this, record this. So we've got a full audio piece of content. We've got a full sort of YouTube video that we can chuck up. We can break the video into smaller videos that we can post on social media throughout the month. Or throughout the week. Yeah. And then we can also write it up into a blog post, and we can have written content that way. So
there's a whole process behind it.
Yeah. So like things like a podcast or live streams and that kind of thing are a good way to do one piece of content, but be able to break it down into a bunch of different
that's a whole new podcast episode. Yeah. Guys, if you want to hear, if you want us to go in depth on how to repurpose, and create a plan from turning pillar content into a whole stack of micro content, jump over to Instagram at AttentionMedia Agency and give us a big thumbs up. Let us know, and we'll turn that into its own dedicated episode.
Yes.
All right, guys. Wrapping up. So we've talked video performing really well. We've talked about gear. So
Sorry, just one more thing I'll mention is
let's do it.
Just making sure your content is optimized for like platforms specifically. So
very good tip.
YouTube is probably having higher quality video in a landscape format, and then social at the moment is probably 80 to 90% of people are using their phone to view this content. So making sure that your content is optimized for people that are viewing on their phone. So
what does that mean?
So basically, the main thing is probably the aspect ratio. So you don't want a widescreen. So generally a TV is a
devil's advocate here.
TV is a widescreen format. So
standard 16 by 9.
Yeah, 16 by 9 is sort of your standard TV.
Yep.
But your phones are actually, I think, technically nearly 16 by 9, but they're just flipped
16,
up vertically. So you just want to be creating content that is vertical, basically, or at least square.
You can look it up on the internet. It's quick search for aspect ratios.
Exactly. Yeah. Yep. Exactly. And I think it's again, without sort of overwhelming people, the content that you do publish onto your mobile now, onto most of the social media platforms, it performs better when it is shot mobile first, right? When it is vertical, not landscape, because the algorithms and the platforms know when you're uploading a landscape piece of content onto the platform, and it's not optimized, so it doesn't perform as well. Again, whole nother episode, but I think it's a very important point to note that you always want to be thinking about creating the best possible user experience on whatever platform it is. So mobile, you need to be vertical. If you're publishing content to YouTube, obviously it's horizontal. Awesome. All right, I think that's about a wrap.
I think so.
Perfect. Any other nuggets to be sharing, guys?
Don't think so.
No.
All right, so that is how to maximize your social media leading into the festive season frenzy. Guys, if you do have any questions, please do reach out. You can find us on Facebook, on Instagram. You can head over to the website and let us know what your biggest issues with social media marketing are, and we'd be more than happy to help. So,
or if you have any other podcast interests, just hit us up and
topic ideas. You let us know, we'll create it.
Sounds good.
Ludi, thanks for joining us, mate. Adrian, thanks for joining us.
No problem.
So that's it for another episode. Thank you so much for tuning in. As we mentioned, we'd love to get your thoughts and feedback on this episode. You can do that by heading over to our Instagram at AttentionMedia Agency and letting us know what your thoughts. Send us a message. We'd love to hear from you. We'd also love to know what you'd like us to talk about in upcoming episodes. So send us your topic ideas. We are always interested. And if you'd love to know more, head over to the website attentionmedia.com.au. That's all for now. We'll see you in the next episode.